August 7, 2023 Super 100 Master Exam. Which of the following factors contributes most to the maintenance of value in a well-planned residential community? What is conformity to proper land use objectives? Conformity is an appraisal term stating that general uniformity of the structures in an area will produce the highest value. All of the following would be classified as real property, except, what is leasehold estate in residential properties? Leasehold estate is not real property. An easy way to remember this is to think of a lease as a piece of paper, and you can move a piece of paper, so therefore it would be personal property. Broker Torres had an open listing on a property. He showed the property to a buyer who purchased it. Since this was an open listing agreement, what must Broker Torres do to be assured he will receive his commission from the seller? What is the payment of commission would be handled the same as any other listing. Payment of commissions with an open listing are handled the same as any other listing. The details must be worked out in the listing agreement itself. The National Do Not Call Registry provides that, what is consumers who have made an inquiry to a licensee may be contacted up to 3 months later. Note, this question is asking about consumers who have only made an inquiry. They may be contacted up to 3 months later. Customers who have had an established business relationship with a company can be contacted up to 18 months later. Title held by a husband and wife may include all of the following forms of ownership except, what is severalty? Severalty means sole ownership and, other than forming a corporation, spouses can only hold property in common through some form of joint ownership. The selling price on a buyer's closing statement is treated as, what is a debit to the buyer? A closing statement is a detailed cash accounting of a real estate transaction prepared by a broker, escrow officer, attorney or other persons designated to process the mechanics of the sales, showing all cash received, all charges and credits made and all cash paid out in the transaction. Selling price on the buyer's closing statement is treated as a debit to the buyer. Which of the following actions of the Federal Reserve Board would relieve a tight money market? What is lower the cash reserve requirement? A tight money market, also known as dear money, results from a shortage of money when monetary policy decreases the supply of money and the amount of money banks have to lend, in order to slow down economic activity. According to the Truth in Lending Law, Regulation C, the disclosure statement for a borrower applying for a 30-year loan must include which of the following? What is the annual percentage rate, late payment charge, and the total dollar amount of the loan over 30 years? According to the Truth Lending Law, Regulation C, the disclosure statement for a borrower must include the annual percentage rate, late payment charge, and the total dollar amount of the loan over 30 years. The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, RESPA, applies to which activity? What is savings and loan institutions lending money for home loans to first-time buyers? The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, or RESPA, was enacted by Congress to provide home buyers and sellers with improved disclosures of settlement costs and to eliminate abusive practices in the real estate settlement process. RESPA generally applies to lenders, mortgage brokers and servicers of home loans. What is the time frame in which a supplier must file a notice in the public record of a mechanic's lien for materials supplied? What is 90 days after the material is supplied? A lien may be filed by a mechanic within 90 days of the supply of materials. Which of the following statements concerning a life estate is false? What is false is a life estate can never extend beyond the life of the life tenant. The length of life tenancy is based on someone else's life. So if the life tenant dies before the measuring life, the estate could extend beyond the life of the life tenant. In common law and statutory law, a life estate is the ownership of land for the duration of a person's life. In legal terms, it is an estate in real property that ends at death when ownership of the property may revert to the original owner or is passed to a designated remainderman. With a life estate per avi, however, the length of a life tenancy is based on someone else's life, so if the life tenant dies before the measuring life, the estate could extend beyond the life of the life tenant. Which of the following is not a lien? What is private restrictions? Liens are always tied to money. A lien is a form of security interest granted over an item of property to secure the payment of a debt or performance of some other obligation. The owner of the property, who grants the lien, is referred to as the lienee, and the person who has the benefit of the lien is referred to as the liener or lien holder. Which of the following approaches to value would be most concerned with the present worth of the future potential benefits of the property? What is income? The income approach emphasizes the present worth of future benefits. Which of the following approaches to value estimate tends to set the upper limits of value? What is replacement? Cost. Replacement, cost, replacement, approach sets the upper limits of value. Cost, replacement, approach is the process of estimating the value of a property by adding to the estimated land value the appraiser's estimate of the replacement cost of the building, less depreciation. A trustee's sale is initiated by the. What is the trustee? I said the bank. A trustee sale is a sale by a property in foreclosure due to default in the loan made from the lender, who holds a trustee deed on the property. Which of the following statements about real estate financing is incorrect? Discounting a note indicates that it is being sold at less than the face value, or amount owing on the principal. A promissory note is security for a mortgage. All of the other options are correct. The owner of a property who borrows money and signs a mortgage is called a mortgager. What is a promissory note is not security for a mortgage. The mortgage is security for the promissory note, but the reverse is not true. Each of the other statements is correct. Essentially, a mortgage promissory note is an agreement that promises that the money borrowed from a lender will be paid back by the borrower. The mortgage note also explains how the loan is to be repaid, including details about the monthly payment amount and length of time for repayment. Adjusted cost basis may be referred to as, what is book value? The book value is the value at which an asset is carried on a balance sheet equals cost minus accumulated depreciation. An agreement wherein one party agrees to reimburse the other party for damages suffered in the event of a clearly defined risk, in exchange for payment of monetary consideration, is commonly known as. What is an insurance policy? Insurance is the promise of reimbursement for damages for the promise to pay. With respect to fire insurance, the policy should allow the insured to neither gain nor lose in the event of claim. A valid deed must contain, what is a granting clause? Deeds provide evidence of the transfer of title of real property from a grantor to a grantee. For a deed to be valid, the grantor must be legally competent, the deed must be delivered and accepted, and it must contain a granting or action clause. A deed does not need to be acknowledged to be valid. The Commissioner's final public report on a residential development would include all of the following except, assurance that the financial arrangements provide any community improvements. Assurances that the developer has fully met the requirements of the Subdivided Lands Act. Assurance that the developer has established the means to satisfy any warranties made to the purchaser. Assurance that the developer is not charging an excessive price for the properties. Correct. The public report does not guarantee that the property has not been overpriced. Note, this question asks would include all of the following except, which means it's looking for a false answer. And it's false that the final public report includes an assurance that the developer is not charging an excessive price for the properties. Who signs the reconveyance deed? What is trustee? A deed of reconveyance is a document that transfers title in the real property to the borrower, the trustor, from the trustee once the borrower has fully paid the debt secured by a deed of trust. The maximum permissible loan-to-value ratios are: what is based on sale price or appraised value, whichever is lower. Although various banks, mortgage companies and programs have different LTVs, the lower, more conservative number is used. Insurance: a contract under which, for a consideration, one party agrees to indemnify another for a possible loss under specific conditions. For a mortgage loan may be provided by, what is FHA or private mortgage insurer? Federal Housing Administration, FHA, insures lenders against loss in the event of a default. FHA loan might approve a loan to buy 4 units of residential property to be used for rental purposes. To get an FHA loan, you go to institutions that are authorized to deal with the FHA. There is no FHA office. Private insurers can insure loans when the borrower does not qualify for the FHA loan.